welcome back to Food Prep Guide. I am out here next to my GreenStalk, and we've done a couple of videos on the GreenStalk so far on this channel, but this particular year, in years past, this was my salad green garden, I guess you could say. I pretty much only grew salad greens in the GreenStalk. I have the leaf, which if you are not familiar with GreenStalk, they come in the leaf container and the original. The original has deeper pockets for you to grow pretty much anything you want: tomatoes, eggplants, watermelons, anything. But the leaf container is more shallow and is better suited for shallow rooted crops like your leafy greens. But with that said, there are certain varieties, certain varieties of vegetables and fruits that are so compact and have such a shallow root system that they can work in shallow potted containers, kind of like these pockets on my GreenStalk leaf here. And I have gone back and forth so many times trying to figure out what to use my GreenStalk for this year. I have completely revamped my garden. If you're new here, you might not know that we have switched to weed fabric, and it has just completely changed the way that I have mapped out my garden. So this is no longer needed to be leafy greens. I just could not decide on what to do, but I have finally nailed it down, and it is going to be my children's snacking tower. This is an area in the garden where they don't have to ask if they can have a certain thing. They don't have to ask how many they can have. This is going to be their free range, free will. If you want a snack, come out, pick what you want, enjoy it. You don't have to ask permission first. So that is what this is going to be, and I thought it would be fun to bring you specific varieties that I have chosen to put into the GreenStalk this year. And I have chosen this specifically for child-friendly palettes, flavor palettes. Shallow container style, smaller compact crops, and something that can be grown in my hot summers. But I also want to use this throughout the fall and winter as well. So I also picked some varieties that are going to they're going to do well in cooler temperatures as well. So I have 5 in particular. These aren't going to be the only 5 that I grow here in the GreenStalk, but they are the 5 primary snackers that I've chosen this year. So welcome to Food Prep Guide. My name is Jordan. I'm a homeschooling mom to 3, living on 3 beautiful acres with my wonderful husband. A health crisis forced our family to change the way we think about food. Unfortunately, it also put us in financial hardship. Thankfully, the solution to both challenges was the same: to live off the land as much as possible. For us, that means growing a garden, preserving the harvest, raising chickens, and cooking from scratch. It's definitely a family affair. And friends too. Meet Stacy, researcher, author, and lifelong learner. She entered the world of food preservation in the crazy days of 2020. She joined a gleaning co-op, and a local grocer offered her clearance produce in bulk, and so the adventure began. Together, we're reclaiming the old ways of food stewardship and teaching them to the next generation. If there's one thing you should know about us, it's that we love Jesus and seek to steward his blessings wisely. Our table always has room for one more, so y'all come join us. Let's hop straight into it. You can see that I already have some greens growing. My children absolutely love just ripping leaves off of lettuce and greens and snacking on those. So I went ahead and put in some tatsoi here. That's what these beautiful greens are, and that is one of the plants that I have chosen is tatsoi. The reason why I have chosen it is because tatsoi is both heat tolerant and cold tolerant. So it can essentially take you all through the season. Now, if you live in a very hot climate, I live in zone 7B, 8A, and there's probably going to be a time period in July, maybe early August, that I'm not going to be able to grow this tatsoi. It'll probably bolt on me. Bolting means just going to seed. It can get bitter. But because of how heat tolerant and cool tolerant it is, it's a great option for almost year-round snacking in something like the GreenStalk. So I already have the first, it's really windy, I hope the mic isn't sounding too bad for y'all. The first 2 rows here, I have all tatsoi, and then I have just a little bit of this salad burnet sprinkled throughout so far on the 3rd row. It's not completely full, but salad burnet is an herb that tastes just like cucumbers. My children absolutely love the taste of cucumbers. Our cucumbers won't be ready for harvesting until probably early June, maybe late May. And so this is just going to give them a little cucumber flavor while they wait for the good stuff to come in. Okay, so after the tatsoi, here's what I am extremely excited about, and they are too. Orange hat tomatoes. Orange hat tomatoes are a micro variety of tomatoes. They're not just compact, they're not just container, they are micro. They only get to be about 18 inches tall. And even though they only get to be about 18 inches tall, look at how heavily it sets fruit. Now, when I was looking at the seed package, I was like, well, they're going to choose the best picture to sell their product, you know, so how are they really this loaded with fruit being that small? So I poured through what felt like hundreds of reviews, lots and lots of pictures on Facebook and their Baker Creek, like kind of heirloom fan club, I guess you could say, where people have posted all of their pictures of their orange hat micro tomatoes. And yes, it is true. They set such heavy fruit all season long on these very tiny plants. My children love cherry tomatoes, and the ones that are orange tend to be sweeter than the red ones. So I'm going to be planting those primarily. Probably about 80% of the pockets that are left in the GreenStalk are going to be these orange hat tomatoes. Now with those, I want to talk about this one right after, because it's Blue Lake bush beans. Blue Lake bush beans are one of your bush variety of beans, and they're pretty compact. They don't require staking like your pole variety of beans obviously need some trellising and staking, but even a lot of your bush varieties need staking. Even though they're not pole, even though they're not vining and climbing, they get so bushy and so big that you really need to stake them up and lift them off the ground and lift them off the containers. But Blue Lake bush, you don't need to stake them at all. They remain compact and yet produce pod after pod after pod of your green beans. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this in conjunction with the orange hat tomatoes is because when you are planting in a container like the GreenStalk or just a regular pot on your patio, the amount of nutrients available to your plants is very limited, right? You're only limited to the amount of nutrients in the soil in that pot. The roots can't go through and get into the ground and get access to more nutrients. So because of that, nutrient competition and nutrient expenditure is a big thing and a big factor that we have to think about when we're planting containers, when we're planting food items in a container style format. So something that you might want to consider when doing that is planting a nitrogen fixing food crop with a nitrogen feeding food crop. So tomatoes are very high nitrogen feeders. That means they need lots and lots of nitrogen available in the soil to be able to produce all of the green leaves that it needs and then to be able to fruit properly. Now, things in your legume family like your green beans, they fix nitrogen into the soil, meaning whatever nitrogen is in the soil, those roots are going to uptake and they're going to actually produce these little root nodules on the roots where the nitrogen is going to be stored. So they don't need a whole lot of nitrogen. But not only do they not need a whole lot of nitrogen, they keep nitrogen into the soil. So because I have such limited pockets here, especially being the leaf container variety, being a shallower container, what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate pockets. I'll do a tomato, a green bean, a tomato, so that they are next to each other in each tier and yet not competing for nutrients. And not only not competing for nutrients, but actually benefiting from the nitrogen fixing capabilities of the green beans. So just a tip for you, you might want to pair a nitrogen feeding crop like tomatoes with a nitrogen fixing crop like something in the green bean or pea family. And my children just absolutely love the flavor of fresh green beans. Not canned green beans so much. They're kind of like me in that regard, but fresh green beans all day. Whoops. Let me pick that up real quick. I don't want the wind to blow it away. It's pretty windy today. Okay. So I mentioned that my children love just ripping off leaves and eating salad greens. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I have struggled so much with producing our salad greens for a year's supply at a time, just a constant, because I'll come out one day and like 2 whole heads will be gone because they have eaten them. Now, I don't think the answer to that problem is to limit how many greens my children eat. I love that they love greens, so that's not the solution. The solution is to grow more greens, which is why we're not growing them in the GreenStalk this year, other than tatsoi and little gem lettuce. They love snacking on little lettuces like these, and you can see the fork. You can see the size comparison of the little gem to the fork. They create these little heads, kind of like a little bit of a romaine, but like a tighter style than that. But they're so small and they're so cute, and so you can fit a lot in one space. I will be planting about 3 per pocket in this leaf style GreenStalk, but little gem lettuce, so compact. This would be another good one to sprinkle in with your tomatoes, because lettuce, while they don't fix nitrogen, actually, never mind. They're a little bit too heavy in nitrogen, so scratch that. I was thinking since they're small, they won't take up quite as much, but that's true when it comes to spacing. You could plant these underneath your tomatoes and they might do pretty well, but they need too much nitrogen and they would be competing too badly with the tomatoes, so that's not going to be good. I will probably put these on a separate container than my tomatoes. I'll probably alternate the tomatoes and green beans, and then a little gem lettuce, and then the tomatoes and green beans, and then the little gem lettuce. Last but not least, number 5 is going to be Tom Thumb peas. Y'all, these are so stinking cute. They only get to be about 18 to 24 inches tall. You can see that pot. This is a fully mature plant in this picture. You can see all the pods that it is producing. Very productive plant in a very small amount of space. Now, this is a cool loving crop. It's not something I'm going to be planting alongside my tomatoes, which are of course a heat loving crop. This is what's going to be taking me through fall and winter. So I won't be filling up my GreenStalk with these just yet, but probably around August. What I'm going to do, as soon as all of those tomatoes are gone, I'm going to take them all out, probably feed my soil just a little bit, not with nitrogen, because peas don't need nitrogen. They are in the legume family, which means they fix nitrogen into the soil. So I'll probably refresh it with just a little bit of maybe a little bit of bone meal, maybe a little bit of potassium, and just because they do flower and pea plants need some potassium to do the flowering process. The more flowers you get, the more pods you get. So I'll probably refresh the soil and plant the entire GreenStalk with the Tom Thumb sweet peas and the little gem lettuce, and that's going to be all of their fall and winter snacking crops for my kiddos. With starting as soon as, well, now they're already coming out here and picking off leaves and eating those, but it's probably going to be about 6 to 8 weeks before they're harvesting these orange hat tomatoes. But other than that, they will have some tomatoes to snack on, green beans to snack on, greens to snack on, and then in fall into winter, all of those delicious Tom Thumb sweet peas. So fun. So cute. I hope that was helpful to y'all. If y'all are going to be container gardening, consider these really compact, even micro type varieties that will allow you to produce more food in less space. That's all for today. We'll see you next time. Bye.